boys and girls, students of Buddhist Sunday School, students of Dhamma classes, parents, grandparents, teachers of Buddhist Sunday School and Dhamma classes. Good morning. May you all be well and peaceful. Now, for this lesson, we are going to do this topic titled Lessons from a Life Handbook. Now, what is a handbook? A handbook is a reference book or a manual that is very useful, containing information, facts, or instructions on a particular subject or topic. And in this case, this manual or your handbook contains very important lessons about life. That's why it's called a life handbook. Important life lessons that will help you to live more happily and peacefully. So we are going to go over many life lessons from this life handbook or manual. As usual, we will launch the PowerPoint to go over the various lessons from the handbook. Now let us check the setting first to make sure it is okay. All right, so now it is at this point here, so it's okay. And now we will launch the PowerPoint. View show. So now you see the cover slide, right? The first of the 36 slides. Now, we are not going to do all those things listed here, which are actually very good pieces of advice to live your life peacefully, live simply, be content, practice charity, and so on. You can read that on your own when you view the PowerPoint or the YouTube video. So let us move on. Otherwise, we will take a long time to finish all the 36 slides. That's the first one. Stay healthy. And these are important points to consider. Good nutrition, exercise, adequate rest and sleep. Now that is very important. If we don't stay healthy, then we cannot do the important things of life, right? Like, for example, education, and also to learn Dhamma, a very important thing, isn't it? To learn and practice Dhamma. Now, good nutrition, of course, you know, we must have a balanced diet with all the vitamins, minerals. We must not eat all the junk food. Those can be very harmful. They can cause sicknesses, illnesses later on. And you must have sufficient exercise. Nowadays, I find many young people do not exercise sufficiently. Those days, we used to have, compulsory sport practices and then the games. But now, people play games, but they play using the smartphone or the iPad and so on. That is not exercise. That is mostly entertainment for you. So remember to have a healthy body. And then also you must have sufficient, adequate means sufficient, enough rest and sleep. Now many young people sleep very late, 2 a.m. They are so busy with the computer or the phone, chit-chatting, playing games until past midnight also. And then the next morning, they have to wake up to go to school or go to college. So if they don't have enough sleep, then this will be harmful, right? Their health will be affected. So very important, have enough sleep, especially you must sleep by maybe 11 at latest, because the immune system will build up sometime between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. So you have to take note of this. All right, that's the first of the life lessons. Stay healthy. Now let's go on to the next one. Practice the 5 C's. What are the 5 C's? Don't think the 5 C's refer to car, condominium, credit card, career, country club membership. And not those 5 C's. Those are worldly things that will not give you peace. The important 5 C's to practice so that your mind is strong, you can be healthy both in the mind and body. One is confidence. So as a Buddhist, we must have confidence or saddha in the triple gem, the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, confidence. And then you must train the mind to be calm, to be tranquil, especially when you meet with a difficult situation and you find it is very challenging, and most people will become very, very agitated, restless, and even frightened. All those things are not good, because when you don't have a calm mind, you cannot think properly. So calmness, it must be trained. Charity, that's Dhana, doing good deeds of helping people in need, donating, giving. Compassion, I think you know, in Pali it's called Karuna, to have empathy, and then to want to help people to be free from the suffering or to lessen their suffering. So you do a good act, all right? Connected also with the charity, and you have this good heart of compassion to try to relieve the suffering of other beings. All beings, animals included, compassion. Opposite is cruelty, not having, empathy or sympathy, And clarity is the noun from the adjective clear. To be clear in the mind, to have clarity of mind. And this also has to be trained. And of course, the best way is Dhamma learning, understanding, and practice. Then the wisdom arises and you are able to see things clearly, and you know what to do, and you can make the right decisions and so on. So these are the 5 C's that we have to practice. So let us go on to the next one. Exercise the brain and mind. It's very important to keep our brain and mind healthy. There are various ways, nutrition is one of the ways, but here I'm going to emphasize on thinking skills, which means that we must try to exercise the brain and mind through proper thinking, right? Wise thinking. And for the brain exercise, the research workers have found out that if you use the brain to solve problems, puzzles, or even to play chess, or even to learn certain things using the brain. And the brain is connected to the mind, right? The mind is connected. So this also will make the mind better in thinking. So in this case here, you have to try to do thinking exercises to think wisely, or have good hobbies like chess or Scrabble, board games. Not all those, arcade games, some like to play all those, I don't know, Candy Crush lah, and all those things, Angry Grandma, and all those involving killing, all those are not good exercises. Those just give you excitement. But if you play Scrabble or chess or some other puzzles, then that will be good. So that is this important aspect of a life lesson. Read to develop the mind. It's very important. These days, I find many young ones don't read much. In Malaysia, I think the average Malaysian hardly reads a book, maybe a year even. Of course, for students, they read the textbooks or revision books for examinations. But what is very important also is to read widely on different subjects. And when you read from books or even from certain very good websites in the internet or from your smartphone, good novels, stories, motivation books, or inspirational books. Now, this will expand your mind, and your mind will become richer, and the mind can think better and is well informed. Otherwise, you'll be like a katak di bawah tempurung, isn't it? So this is a very important thing to note. The next thing, sit in silence for at least 10 minutes each day. Of course, this is a guide, all right? Some may sit for 5 minutes or maybe longer. This is quite important because, especially younger people now, very restless. The mind is always, running here and there like a monkey, and the mind weakens. To strengthen the mind, you must have moments where the mind becomes still, silent, settles down. In this case, it's connected with meditation. We have one more slide later on towards the end, right? So it's called quiet time. Just as the body needs exercises by movement, moving the body in the games and sports, so the mind is to be still at certain times to charge up the battery sort of. So this is also very, very good life lesson. Take walks in nature. Now, when we take walks in nature, then the mind becomes settled, very serene, and you find the greenery of nature will do good to your mind. But these days, very few do that. Very few like to go to places where you have a lot of greenery, even in Malaysia, you have tourist spots and so on. Right? Instead, they like to go to shopping complexes, play all those games, and then shop until they drop. So remember, if possible, of course, now in the pandemic period, it's difficult for you to travel. But next time when you're able to travel, now not just always going to the big cities only. Go to places where you have rivers, mountains, forests, gardens, and all this is very, very therapeutic for your mind. All right, so take walks. That means to try to get into nature lah. Next, don't compare yourself to others. You have no idea what their journey is all about. Some people get so stressed up and have jealous feelings and so on because they like to compare to other people. Oh, you see, my friend has a bigger motorbike lah, or he has a better iPhone lah, and then he has better toys lah, and so on. You always compare, but what will counting your blessings, as we will do later on, doesn't mean that the person has more and more of those material things, then that person will be more happy. He might be having his problems, isn't it? He may be having certain types of sicknesses or worries and so on. Each person has in his mind his own things. The whole journey is different. So don't compare with others and get stressed up and feel negative. Right? Take care of yourself, your mind, right? And wish people well. So that is also this very important thing. Now let us look at this one. Don't have negative thoughts or things you cannot control. Actually, it should be off. There's a grammar mistake. It's better. Don't have negative thoughts of things you cannot control. Now, some people like to, complain, have a negative things. Why is it like that? Why is it raining? I want to go out and play. Why is it I have to wait at the traffic lights for so long? Now, certain things you cannot be helped. You have to learn to embrace all those things peacefully. Now, if you always complain, criticize, condemn, curse, then you cannot be peaceful. You should actually invest your energy or put your energy and effort at the present moment. So if you are at the traffic lights waiting, then be at the present. And then maybe you can watch your breath. So when the mind is always at the present moment, then you don't think of the future or the past, and then worry, regret, all those things. Certain things have happened beyond your control, isn't it? Like if it has to rain, it rains, that's all. Accept it peacefully. That is very, very important. Not to have negative thoughts. Don't overdo. Know and keep your limits. These days, especially young people and also people who are working already, they want to get more. They want to achieve or get certain things like titles or qualifications, all material things. It's not that you cannot get those things, but there's a limit and you must know your limits. Otherwise, you get stressed. Now, you can see this cartoon, right? Or maybe overwork until stress, and it actually can get into very serious sicknesses, apart from physical sicknesses like cardiac diseases, disease of the vital organs in your body. You can also get mental illnesses like depression, very common ones. So don't overdo. I'm not asking you to be lazy. You must know your limits. You still have to do certain essential things. And as now I said, you must have a balanced thing. You have exercise, you have enough sleep, and so on. So this is important. But people, because they don't understand Dhamma actually, then you find they sometimes overwork, until they get stressed up, and then they fall sick in the body and mind. So be careful of this very important lesson from this handbook. Don't put pressure on yourself so much and get stressed. That's the same thing in a way, similar. That means you pressurize yourself, some, say, oh, I must do this, I must get this done, I must get that done. That person has no time to rest sufficiently, not enough sleep, not enough rest, and as a result, you fall sick and you get stressed. And actually, stress is getting more and more common. And according to data and health organizations, diseases related to stress, like depression, on the rise. More and more people get stressed. They pressurize themselves too much. It's connected with the overworking, right? Doing more than what you can, or what is wise, doing more than what is wise. So be careful. Stress is a very dangerous thing also, because it can lead to lots of problems. Some even commit suicide, as you know. They get so stressed up already, you see. Now, of course, a very, very important thing is if you learn Dhamma, you know already, what should be done. We have done so many Dhamma lessons. Don't waste your precious energy on gossip. Gossip is one of the 10 unwholesome actions. It's an unwholesome action of the speech. So wrong speech, of course, you have the other three I mentioned before, like lying is wrong, malicious or harsh speech, all right? Malicious speech and divisive speech, harsh speech. And then the fourth one is gossip, frivolous talk, wasting so much time and energy, all right? Indulging in gossiping, you can understand from this picture here, empty talk that doesn't benefit people and waste a lot of time and energy. And actually, you can go on to more dangerous things, even spreading rumors, right? And then after that, lying. So all these should be avoided. That is about this gossip. No gossip. Now let us go on to the next one. Be always attentive, aware, and alert of what's within you and the outside world. This is one of the very important practices in Dhamma. To be mindful, to be always alert in the mind, sharp in the mind, aware, knowing what is happening in your body, as well as what is happening in your mind. what are the thoughts? Some dangerous, negative, harmful, unwholesome thoughts? Then you must get rid of. And then when people talk to you, especially when you are in class, you have to pay attention. Listening skill, very important. Today, it has dropped. Many people don't listen properly. And as a result, they do the wrong things and then accidents occur. So very important to be attentive. And the mind is alert, always knowing what is happening in the environment. Imagine if you don't have this quality, you may, get an accident, and then certain unpleasant things happen because of the wrong things in your mind. You speak wrongly and you hurt somebody and so on and so on. So very important. This is an important life lesson. Envy or jealousy is an unwholesome state. Of course, when a person is very angry, then the mind is in an unwholesome state. He can be accompanied by anger, hatred, and these, of course, can also lead on to wrong speech and wrong actions. You might, quarrel with somebody, or you might, hurt somebody by physical force, aggression. So why are you jealous of other people? Why are we jealous? We have to be contented, but we have many, many blessings. In fact, we should feel mudita or joy for other people's success. That is a good mental state. So you see this person, very, very peaceful, contented. This one, of course, you say green with angry, and the green thing here. That's not good. You already have all you need already, actually. We are all so lucky over in our country here. We have all the things, right? We have food, education, a good shelter, protection, and so on. Now, the next thing is, don't dwell on the past and let it ruin your present. Some people like to, think of all those, the negative things of the past. Especially, sometimes they think of, especially maybe young adults, older people also. They think of the wrong things that they have done and they regret. They say, I should have done better things. I should have avoided that. It's past already. Right? So no point. Then you find that you'll be so remorseful, full of regret and guilt, and you can't do the good things in the present because the mind is caught up with the past regrets and remorse and guilt. So the correct thing will be put the mind more in the present and do the good things in the present. Right? You learn from the past mistakes and then you have to move on already. Right? Doing all the good things. You can see the slip, the clip, the video clip, and you have some good points that you can learn from. What about this? It says, don't hate others. Hatred is a mental poison. Learn to forgive. In Dhamma teaching, very important. These three mental poisons that we must get rid of. They generate bad karma. They are harmful to your mind. They have negative or dangerous consequences. That is greed, hatred, delusion. Isn't it? Greed for this, for that. And then after that, you may go on to actions already, do wrong things, stealing, cheating, lying, in order to get those things because you are greedy. So it starts with the mind. Then, of course, the second mental poison is anger or hatred. And this can be very, very dangerous. So we must get rid of that. And we have one more, I think, slide that shows how we can get rid of this hate. Actually, you have done it before also. Most important way is to use metta, loving kindness, meditation on loving kindness. So we try to learn this important thing of forgiving. So if we get angry because another person has done something to us or has spoken badly about us, we note it, but we don't get angry or let hatred arise in the mind, and we think, it might have been due to my past karma. Everybody makes mistakes. I also have made mistakes. I might have hurt people. So why must I get angry and hateful of the other person? I learn to forgive. Then your mind becomes more peaceful. Make peace with your past so it won't spoil the present. This is connected to the previous slide also. Some people cannot let go of the past. They have done something maybe unwholesome, and it's always coming and in the mind, he thinks about it, he even dreams about it, and so on. So as a result, the mind is weakened. When the mind is filled with guilt, regret, or remorse, right? The feeling of guilt and regret is remorse. So they become worried and they are fearful, right? So it's not pleasant. What should be done is, it's not that you don't bother about what you have done. You note it. You know that, oh, in the past I have done something, I have lied, so that is not a good thing. There are many negative consequences. So now I know it already. So then I make a determination or resolution that I will not repeat that mistake. And then I will move on already. I won't go and dwell on it. And we do more and more good. That is a good way of handling all the mistakes that you have done in the past. Acknowledge it, know it, be mindful of it, and then determine not to do those things, unwholesome ones, again, and then resolve, I must do more good things. So your good things now will override all the unwholesome or bad things you have done. So that is a wise way, rather than always the mind affected and feeling guilty and regretful. So that is this thing. No one is in charge of your happiness except you. Now, many people have the idea that happiness must come from outside. This fella makes me happy lah. I get a lot of money, so that's why the money makes me happy. Then they say, oh, people look up to me, they praise me, that's why I'm happy. So happiness is not coming from the outside. If it's from the outside world, like, fame or recognition, titles, money, all those things is from the outside that make a person happy, then why is it that you have so many more and more famous people? They have all the wealth from the earnings as singers, like the K-pop singers, or from their acting. And then also, maybe they get a lot of titles, recognition in politics and so on. But are they truly happy? You find, no, not necessarily. They still have the problems and can't sleep, and so many commit suicide. Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, and then also Leslie Cheung, so many lah. And then the latest one, so many young ones from the K-pop singers. So they are not happy. So happiness is within you, in your mind. And if you learn the Dhamma, you can see that and you can understand it very clearly and you can take charge. In other words, you can know how to train the mind to be happy. That is very important. So no, don't blame other people, outside world and so on. It is within our mind, we take charge. So that is this important point. Realize that life is a school and you are here to learn. You think of life as a school. You go to school, you learn things, you get educated, and you can live more successfully, more peacefully if you have got good education, isn't it? So the whole of life process, the life itself is like a school, You have the good things happening, you have also not so good things happening. There are many lessons you can learn and you can improve also. So when you have this wise thinking, then life gets on smoothly and you can live more peacefully and wisely. So problems definitely there will be. They are simply part of the curriculum. In your life, you might have problems. There will be problems appearing now and then. There are good times also, but remember that they will fade away, right? They will fade away. Like your algebra class, later on you don't learn algebra, you learn other things already. But these lessons, life lessons, more important than all those things you learn in the school that you forget already. When you go to work, you forget what you have learned. But if you learn the Dhamma and you see it, then this will go on and on, right? Into the next lives also. Have a sense of humor, smile and laugh more. Research has shown that laughter is good for health. Some people, they don't know this. They think they always must be serious. I remember when I was in school, I told my Form 6 students, you must have, of course, you study very hard, right? But you must have time to have laughter. It's good for your health. Research has shown that. Your body will secrete good chemicals that will be beneficial to your body. So you can read joke books, you can watch what do you call it, comedies, many ways of laughing. But it must be genuine laugh. Not just every day ha 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 in your room after studying, after some time you ha 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 ha, and your mother peeps in the room and say, hey, what happens to my son? The fellow has gone mad already, crazy, ha 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 ha. That's not a genuine and true laugh, isn't it? So this is also a very useful life lesson. If a person doesn't have this, is always very serious, he may get stressed very easily. So laughter is good, humor. You don't have to win every argument, agree to disagree. Sometimes, of course, you have friends, you have family members, or in your work, you have your colleagues. And sometimes, of course, you don't agree with your friends or even your, maybe your working colleagues. And then they argue lah. And then sometimes, they always want to win only, So it's very important that you understand this. Not all will have the same views. So accept other people's views, but you also have your views. So you say that, okay, I understand you, but I don't share the same opinion. Even though, right, I don't agree, but you have the right to say it. So that is very matured. Don't let the arguments go on to quarrels and fights. So sometimes you see even in parliament, you have fights also. Imagine in parliament, the adult people with good qualification professionals are fighting because they don't agree and they argue until they quarrel, very heated. And then some become angry and shout bad words. Treasure your family and friends. Of course, it's very important, isn't it? No man is an island. You cannot live all by yourself like a hermit, You are not that high a level, like a very cultivated monk that goes to the forest to live by himself. So majority of people are not ready for that sort of very high level of spiritual cultivation to live alone. So you have to interact with family members and friends and value them, cherish them. They are very, very helpful and they can support you. All right, they will, help you to resolve problems and your trouble and so on. So remember all those things. So that is a very, very important bit of advice in this life handbook to treasure your family and friends. And if you know how to relate well, you treasure, you value them, you appreciate them, then your mind will be more peaceful. And also, of course, for all the good things that you learn from them or the help and support you have got from them, you have gratitude, appreciation. That is a very good thing to practice. Each day, give something good to others. Now, this is about Dhana. Right? If you do Dhana or charity or giving help or service to other people, then you find your mind becomes stronger and you'll be more peaceful because you not only just think always of yourself only, you also think of others. So if you're able to give something, not necessarily always money to the poor ones. Sometimes you donate in terms of money or goods and so on. You can send your friend good wishes or give a call now, and then you make them happy, and then you maybe post something in their Facebook page or whatever. Give something that is good, positive. But instead nowadays, people share all sort of things, right? Or violent video clips or gossip. All those are not so beneficial things. So this is a form of Dhana that you need to do. Apologize. Apologize for any wrongdoing. This I've mentioned about the second point, resolving not to repeat your mistakes, not dwelling in the past. But let's look at the first line, apologize for any wrongdoing. Now, that is important. Remember that everybody makes mistakes. Unless you are Arahant or a Buddha. Otherwise, it's quite expected that everybody from time to time might make mistakes. You might have the wrong thinking, and then because of that, you have the wrong speech. You don't have 100% good mindfulness. So you say wrong things, hurt people, or harm other people, or you do the wrong things, right? Like taking things what is not given. So when you realize this, then you will resolve not to repeat your mistakes. Then you must apologize to the people whom you have caused hurt or harm. Right? Sincere apologies. Say, I'm very sorry. I've spoken some words which should not be spoken and so on. Right? Ask for forgiveness. That's a good thing. But today, many people don't realize this. They always insist I'm right. They always insist they are right. You are wrong. So this is actually the ego. The ego is so great. The self, even he has done something not proper, correct. He doesn't want to apologize. And this you can never improve in your character. You can never improve in your spiritual life. And this will lead you to more dukkha, right? Ego, pride. So that is this important lesson also. As often as you can, make the less fortunate ones happy by some positive acts. It's connected to the previous one of Dhana. Now, to make the less fortunate, of course, there are people who are so unfortunate. For example, the people who, have no homes even. They lack the basic things of clothing or food or a shelter or medicine. So when you think of this and you have compassion arising, metta and compassion arising in your heart and mind, then you resolve, you say, I will try to do a positive action whenever and wherever I can. I must do this positive act. The positive acts, like example, very simple example. People who are sick, you send them get well wishes, or some in the hospital, you pay a metta visit, or you even, as I said just now, send good wishes, get well soon, congratulations, all right? And all those good positive acts to make them happy. And sometimes you give things to people. Maybe you have done some cooking and you have cooked some nice things. You may want to give some to the people who are not so fortunate to have these good things to eat. So that is also a good thing. So many ways you can think of where you can do some positive acts to cut the ego, to cut what we call the self, the I, the me, the mind, everything only for me. And then always thinking of the I and mine only. You don't think much about the other people. And this will be bringing dukkha actually. So the opposite is Dhana, service to other people. or helping other people. Right? So that's why we have volunteers in the flood, terrible situation of the floods. You find there are so many good ones actually who are actually helping. There are so many ways. Like donating, and then some go and distribute food, to the victims of the floods. And then they go and give the moral support. Some rescue them, from the rooftop because of the terrible floods. All these are really very good, meritorious actions. Even our association has these welfare projects where they have distribution of the food and other necessary things to the poor people or to the victims of the floods. So not only during flood time, all the time there were people who are suffering and less fortunate compared to us. So this is a life lesson. Live a life of righteousness, metta, and compassion. Now, righteousness basically is a life of virtue, a life of morality. Like, you have to keep your precepts very well, the 5 precepts if you're a lay person. And then you must have loving kindness, love, kindness, and compassion we have mentioned already. So if your life is based on these things, a good morality, and you are full of loving kindness and compassion, you are on the right path. Then you find your life will be more happy, joyful, peaceful, and your mind will be always in better states. And not only in this life only, but also when we pass away, you get reborn into happy states like the heavens as gods or devas, or as fortunate human beings again in this life. But you find that many people don't do that. They commit immoral things, as you know, stealing, killing, sexual misconduct, lying, and then drinking until they become mabuk, and they are not having metta. In fact, they practice cruelty. They torture people. They make people suffer. And then they don't really do, things that will help to relieve the suffering. I heard that during the flood tragedies, some of those big shots, they may be members of parliament or even ministers, instead of reaching out to people to help them, they spend the taxpayers' money to go and have holidays. That's what I read the things over the net, to have holidays with their families and so on. That is definitely not right already. All right. So, and you find bad consequence will follow for this unwholesome or unskillful action. Now, think wisely before you speak and act. Now, unfortunately today, more people act and then think. Or more people speak just impulsively and then think. And then they say the wrong things or they do the wrong things and cause suffering to other people. And of course to yourself also. Because when you speak wrongly or using unwholesome words, and then you do the wrong actions, then what happens? Apart from generating bad karma, you have sometimes quite a very, very fast effect, Like for example, you speak wrongly to another person, the person will give you a slap, or a little quarrel with you, and then your mind said, oh, very terrible, you also suffer. So it's important to reflect and think wisely. It can be done very, very fast. The mind can work very fast before we speak and before we do any bodily action. So this way, there will be a less chance of you speaking wrong things and doing unwholesome deeds. So that is a very important thing. Thinking is an important thing. To think is an important thing. To think wisely and properly. Especially you have a Dhamma background, then you know the things that you should think. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. Get rid of anything that is unwholesome in your mind. You find all of us have different minds. there are some with better qualities, better mental states. Whereas others are, wow, full of these three mental poisons, as we have emphasized many times: greed, covetousness, unwholesome desires, and then hate, anger, enmity, ill will, aversion, and then wrong views, delusion, ego, pride, conceit. All those unwholesome things in the mind, if you are not careful, you let them grow and grow. They're very strong, you know. Mara is there to make trouble for you. Actually, it's an evil force in your mind that comes. So if you're not careful, these multiply, and then they can come out in the speech and in the body as action, as I've said. And then you do the wrong things, you generate very, very bad karma. These will have the vipaka or the result, not necessarily wait until the next life. Something happens later part in the life, or you definitely will fruit in the next life or future lives. So always have to try to dispel. Now, how to dispel? Of course, there are various ways, but the most important is the more we learn Dhamma, understand Dhamma, reflect on the Dhamma, and practice the Dhamma, the better then you will know how to get rid of these thoughts of greed or anger or hatred that always come out in the mind or the ego or the pride. Then your mind works towards better and better spiritual state, like a godly state. And these sort of people are much more peaceful and happy. Now, last time I read about this case of the happiest man on earth, Venerable Dr. Matthew Ricard. You see, the mind is so good, and they have tested him in university. That's how they found out that he's the happiest man on earth, full of compassion, right? Wise thinking, wise thoughts, but metta, right? And then not greedy, not angry, all those good things are. So the mind very peaceful. That's why he's labeled as the happiest man on earth. So when you reflect on this, you know how very important this is. Have patience and endurance. All things will pass. Yes. If you don't have patience and endurance, that means tolerance or able to bear with it, forbearance, then you cannot succeed in whatever you do. Not necessarily just the Dhamma progress, but in your studies, in your career, right? No patience. You need the patience and the endurance to be able to bear with some hardship and pain, and then you can succeed. Then if you have difficulties, right, like being sick or you encounter some problems, lack of money and so on, and you must be able to endure, have patience. Everything will pass. If you work hard, then you can become rich again, isn't it? The sickness will pass also. So these are two very important qualities. Do not attach or grasp onto things. Some people, due to greed, desire, right? So, I must have that thing, I must have that new edition of the iPhone. So if I don't have like that, wow, I'm attached, or some attached to food, or attached to some media shows and so on, or film shows. You don't have that, cannot. You better get all these things for me. This is going to cause suffering when you're attached. It's not that you cannot enjoy things. You can also, as lay people, but if the things you don't come, you say, now mind. If I can get the durian to eat, okay. If I don't get, also okay, right? And remember this, that whatever that you get, the things that you want, these things don't last. They will pass also. They are impermanent. So why hold on to them so strongly? This will cause dukkha. Let's say you have an item, physical, maybe you have a toy or something like that, and you lose that set. Wow, if you don't understand Dhamma, you become very, very sad, and be sad and angry for days. Whereas you understand, you say, well, everything is impermanent, right? So now mind this one happens, isn't it? So can have acceptance and you'll be more peaceful. Don't worry or speculate about the future. Many people, worry about the future. Yeah, what will happen? Will I pass my exam or not? Will I get all A's or not? Will I get to the university for this course or not? Or will I have this girlfriend or this boyfriend? All the time, speculating, worry about the future, which is useless because nobody can be sure what the future is going to be. Most important is the present. So you do all the good you can in the present. No point worrying or speculating about something that is to come and you're not sure. You do the good in the present and the good future will come to you. You want to get good results and worry whether I can or not. Why go and worry about that? Just be hardworking, do all the proper work, and the good things can come. So in many, many instances, will I become rich or not? Speculating in the future what will happen. Just be hardworking and use your good mind and so on. Then the future will be good. That is an important point. Count all the blessings you have and not your troubles. Some people always like to complain, yeah, I don't have this, How come my car is not so big? How come my clothes not so beautiful? How come I don't get to eat in the very, very famous restaurants? My friends have. Always complaining and they do not count the blessings. What about the blessings you have compared to the unfortunate ones in Africa? You have food, you have education, you have good family members, and then you have even opportunities of getting smartphone, of even touring. Why not you count all those good blessings? That you are not struck by a serious paralysis, polio, cannot walk, cannot run, and you can speak, you can hear. There's so many unfortunate ones. So always never think of that. So when you know how to count your blessings and think about the other people who are not so fortunate, then you'll be more peaceful and not always complaining only. That is important. Reach out, look within. Be morally upright. Now, three things very important in Dhamma practice. Reach out actually concerns Dhana, charity, helping the people outside who are less fortunate, right, to render the service. This is the reaching out aspect of the Dhamma practice. It's basically Dhana, charity service. But if we only do that, as some of the social workers, they do this until the time comes, they get fed up already. I've done enough already, I don't want to do already. Then they go backwards already. You must balance it with the next point, look within. Look within, that means we must look into our minds and then cultivate, to develop the mind so that our wisdom grows, our compassion grows. That's why you see, I've seen these two diagrams here. This is the reaching out, helping others, and this is the look within, to meditate, to reflect, right, on the Dhamma, and of course, we must always keep the precepts. So when you do these three things, wow, you are really a wise person, and you are going to be successful. Not only worldly success, but also the good karma that you reap will ripen this life, or even not in this life also, lives to come, many, many lives to come. So that is this very important lesson from the handbook. Make time to pray or meditate. Of course, very, very important. Regardless of whatever religion you are, you may be some may be Christians, so you see they also pray. Or for Buddhists, right? Of course we pray in a Buddhist ways. Our praying is different. Not to go and ask a Buddha, give me this, give me all the A's, give me a very beautiful girlfriend or a handsome boyfriend. That is not the way to pray. So Buddhist prayers to make aspirations. May my good Dhamma practice give me wisdom and compassion, all right? So may my mind settle. That is the Buddhist way. Or we reflect on the Dhamma. And not to ask for things, always ask for things. Though. You ask for things and pray, you don't get it. It's through your practice, your Dhamma practice, that you get all those things, right? But very important, compared to prayer, is the meditation. Of course, those in the Sunday school, the Dhamma classes know that they always do on Sundays to start off. the metta bhavana, meditation on loving kindness, and that is important also. So this is a very important lesson you have to remember, to make time, Today, people are so very busy, They don't have time for this. They just think of money. That's why they have the slogan, time is money, time is money. So all the time like that, one day, hardly 30, 40 years old, right, listening to the phone call, right? So business matters, everything, wow, affected so much in the mind and heart already and collapse. Some die of heart attack or some get stroke. So you see, it's not worth it. Whereas if you make time to pray or meditate, then you are taking care of your heart and mind, and then you are also reaping good karma and many positive things. That's why I put this as one of the very important points. This also is a very important practice, not only for Buddhists, for all people, that we must be mindful to always watch the mind. I mentioned this in one of the earlier slides, connected. Mindfulness is very important. What is mindfulness? Now, actually, the word comes from, it's supposed to be sati, right? Here, in this case, mindfulness, you can take it as knowing what to do, right? Recollecting, and to keep the mind in the present. To be always aware and attentive and alert to what is happening now. When you are eating, eat. When you're walking, walk, as the Zen saying goes. When you are doing something, concentrate on that. If you are not mindful, imagine if the person is cutting vegetables or some other things, not mindful, not being aware and paying attention to the present action the fellow is doing, thinking of something else already. It may cut your finger, isn't it? Or you're walking along the road, you're not mindful. You are thinking of something already. I don't know this girl will be there in a shopping complex to wait for me or not, or whether the TV program my mother or father recorded or not. All this you're crossing the road, then you did not notice that there is a very fast moving motorbike coming and it knocks you. So a lot of things, unpleasant ones, happen because of the lack of mindfulness, not being aware, not being attentive. The mind is not alert in what is happening. And if we are not mindful, then what happens is in the mind, negative things, as I said just now, can come and they can lead you to do bad things. So must always watch the mind. That's being mindful of what is happening in the mind. So that is very important. To learn to watch the mind, what is happening, especially when the mind is like monkey. The mind is like a monkey, it likes to run all over, out of control, and many people don't tame the monkey. So let the monkey go so far, this and that. A lot of negative things will come because like the monkey goes here and there, and then get into trouble, get accident, people wallop them. So the mind, if you don't train it, it's just like a monkey. So you have to train it to watch it and see what is happening and to bring it back. It's just like bringing cat, go after the monkey, chase the monkey, catch it, and then find a tiang, very strong, and take a steel cable and tie it. The monkey doesn't like, it likes to struggle, going here and there, just like the mind likes to go off. But you try to tame it. Tie to the very, very strong tiang, which means that we concentrate and we are mindful of what is happening. Then the time will come where the monkey, tired already, so settles there, doesn't want to run already because it's tied to the tiang, isn't it? They say, okay, master, now what can I do for you? So the mind has to be trained like this. And if you do that, you'll be very, very peaceful and things will work out much, much better for you. So this is one of the very, very important. Now we come to the end already. And now I've done so many. It's one of the longest presentation of 36 slides. That's why I'm going a bit fast, but you can review this again if you find it difficult to catch it at one go. But then they are very important things. They are life lessons from what we coin as a handbook. Right? Imagine there's a book like this, a handbook already. And it contains more important lessons than your school subjects. The school subject, okay, important, you have to learn to pass the exam. But this one is a life handbook where the lessons you can learn and then grow your mind to be more peaceful, to be more happy, joyful, and to be more wise. So don't you think that those are the most important lessons? What's the use if you get all the A's, right? Only that only, but selfish, and then not willing to help, very egoistic. Then one day your world comes tumbling down because anything can happen, isn't it? You may get a sickness when you're not that old yet. You may have an accident. Then what happens? It's useless, isn't it? So that's why these life lessons are very, very important. So let us conclude by making this aspiration. May we lead a life of generosity, that is Dhana, morality, that is Sila, to keep your precepts, and wise maturity that pertains to wisdom. Right? So when you have these three things, Dhana, Sila, Bhavana, which incorporates wisdom. Actually, basically, it's the Noble Eightfold Path, a life following the Noble Eightfold Path. Then you are on the right track and you have learned the most important lessons and you will get the greatest rewards in this life and future life. And finally, you can get the greatest goal and become a Buddha, or you become enlightened and arahant. So before we say sadhu 3 times, I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the students of Sunday School. Maybe standard 5 and 6 can follow most of it. And also the students of Dhamma classes, secondary students should be able to follow much more easily, or college or university students. And then also the parents and then grandparents who are teaching the Dhamma moral education to the younger ones. And of course, all teachers, right, who are teaching Dhamma and moral education wherever they are. So to them, I say sadhu and thank you. And let us conclude by saying sadhu 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. May you all be well, happy, and peaceful. Take care.